Alright, before we start today, I just want to say thank you. You know, I can't be doing this all the time because it seems weird, but I do want to make the point sometimes that the support recently has been insane. For a channel of my size, on a game as kind of unpopular as BF5, to pick up about 500,000 views in the past month, to get more than double the amount of subs that I was getting in January, to be getting new people supporting on Patreon, all this kind of stuff, the things look good for the future once we're past BF5. And yeah, thank you very much. This will extend the length of the intro, tacking this on, and people don't like that, but I just wanted to say cheers. I appreciate all of you people watching, subscribing, all the new people coming in, or the old people who've been watching for months or years. It's awesome. Thank you very much, and I really hope you enjoyed the video today. All the best. Ladies and gents, welcome to the video. I'm GetGoodGuy, this is Battlefield 5, as you're used to, and today we're talking about if these changes to sniper rifles or bolt action rifles have actually made them overpowered. Because that's what I'm seeing some people say, which it kind of blows my mind a little bit, but we're going to go into it properly and analyse both sides, because there are people that think that bolt actions are too strong and are now ruining the game. And of course there's people on the other side that think the total opposite. So, let me know what you think, and if you aren't happy with the bolt actions right now, one way or the other, what would you change about them? Would you make them more powerful? Would you add the sweet spot? Would you reduce their damage? Would you reduce the hitbox? Etc, etc. So for this video I've got mainly sniping footage in the background, but it will then switch to self-loading rifle footage towards the end as a comparison point, because that's what probably a lot of people will use on recon rather than bolt actions, but also because there's only so long I can play with a sniper for in BF5 before I've just had enough. Now I'm playing on console, so keep that in mind for the footage you're watching and what I say, but I will be referencing PC a lot in this video as well, the differences between the platforms and such like, and honestly the difference is night and day when it comes to precision weapons, and that is a large part of the problem. Now to be specific, bolt action rifles had their velocities buffed, so the bullet travels faster, you don't have to calculate as much how much you need to lead your shots or that kind of stuff, it just makes it easier to use them. If you pair that with the seemingly quite large headshot hitboxes, which some people say are very forgiving, and also then attrition of people running around without full health and you can maybe body shot kill them, well, I can at least see why it would annoy some people. Whether it's balanced, unbalanced or otherwise, yes, it can be frustrating to get taken out by a weapon in one shot and feel like there wasn't much you could do about it. That's not a comment upon whether it's balanced, just a comment upon human nature. We don't like to have something happen to us without us being able to react. There's a lack of control involved there. Now, what you're watching as covered is me on console, and to many they probably look like quite average shots that I'm making, at least to people on PC, but I would like to know how many PC players recognize how hard it actually is to land some of these shots with thumbsticks in a game where other weapons can kill you so quickly, are so easy to use, and you have extremely limited ways to heal if you do take damage. Because I feel like, and quite a lot of others feel like, using a bolt action rifle is basically hindering your performance in a lot of ways, at least the way that I normally play. And yet some say that sniping in this game is an absolute plague, but then that could be down to the power of them, or just how many people try to snipe and maybe, you know, sit on a mountain or something somewhere a mile off getting 2 kills a game. But then that's the same for pretty much any Battlefield title from what I can gather. Regardless, Battlefield 1 got way more complaints about sniping though due to the sweet spot, which is interesting because the sweet spot actually differentiated the rifles between each other, gave them a specific purpose more so than BF5, and allowed them to compete on a level playing field with the other weapons. But again, people don't like being one shot, and the sweet spot helped enemies to do that to you. Human psychology is a large part of this. Now, I said before, fairly recently, that bolt actions weren't the problem that many said they were, that they were actually statistically a weak option, and that the velocity buffs, although we'd have to wait and see, to me didn't seem likely to make snipers a top tier choice, especially with other weapons becoming more potent again at the same time. That was my opinion then, and we'll see if that's altered, but I want to ask you, for those that are really dissatisfied with bolt actions in this game due to others using them, how weak do we need to make bolt actions statistically for you to be happy? And I mean that's not only kind of a statement of, well, you just can't please everyone, but also a genuine question. I'd like to know. Because bolt actions require actual precision when other weapons are more versatile and much easier to use. You know, a self-loading rifle can 2-shot to the body within a lot of ranges, some of them from any range. No need to go for a headshot, just a quick 2-tap to the body, more forgiving, down the enemy goes. A semi-auto rifle, usually 3 or 4 bullets to kill, with much larger mag magazines, much less need to be precise, etc. And I mean, some people do complain about the recoil in this game now, because it's a bit harder again, and some see that as a balancing factor, but to me, I think most of the guns are still really easy to use, even from range, and that's absolutely when comparing it with other FPS games out there. Now, a direct comparison like that isn't always useful, but I think in this case it is. Battlefield 5, even right now, has very easy to use weapons. Whereas then you consider using a bolt-action rifle, if you do want to actually kind of be somewhat useful a lot of the time, you're going to put yourself in a difficult situation. You know, your reward for pushing in and getting a close-range no-scope is usually dying anyway. But I will say, I was surprised by how quickly I found I could do well with a bolt-action when I picked one up, considering I don't really snipe in this game. But I also found it wasn't consistent. There were situations and maps and things where it just wasn't possible to play at my usual level. No matter what I did, even if I decided to be really passive, it was genuinely a hindrance to my performance. Now, I'm someone that, if we can just be unbiased and objective, this isn't me blowing my own trumpet or anything. It doesn't really matter how good you are at the game, okay? But I'm a player with a top 1% KD, pretty high kills per minute, pretty high damage per minute, been playing the game since release, all that kind of stuff. I'm seen as being pretty capable, and I'm saying that using a sniper rifle puts me in my weakest form on this game, out of pretty much all the weapons. When I used a bolt-action carbine the other day for a video, I was better with that. When I use a self-loading rifle, I'm better with that. When I use a semi-auto rifle, I'm better with that, etc. Then consider when using a sniper, many times you can't hear people around you if they sneak up on you or even run up to you, so that puts you at a disadvantage again at close quarters. You often can't hear vehicles around you as well, actually, but I guess that's by the by, that's just with all weapons. But having said that, you don't have a way to really combat vehicles, so you're kind of screwed over again if one gets anywhere near you, or just, you know, snipes you from afar. And tanks are much better at picking people off from afar than sniper rifles sometimes at the minute. And so this brings us back to just the overall balancing. Despite some extremely good snipers utilizing them well, they aren't on par with other weapons, no matter what they tell you. Now, I know there's people like Maxik rather, out there, who's extremely good on console with a sniper rifle. But how long is this list of extremely good console snipers? It is short. Not having significantly different balancing from two very different platforms is an issue. Even then, it can be argued that bolt actions are statistically inferior to self-loading rifles and semi-auto rifles on PC, but the mouse input does allow people to, you know, click heads and whatever, be more precise more easily, and so it brings it onto a bit more of a level. The disparity between console and PC when it comes to sniping is absolutely massive. And when this very short list of extremely good console snipers say things like, look, these are really good, you're just not using them enough or whatever, I feel that's kind of like LeBron James or Cristiano Ronaldo or whatever saying, look, basketball or football is really easy. You should all go and do it and you'll be great. It's not the case. I think it's objectively true that it's way better and easier generally to use a more regular weapon than a sniper rifle, because just look at the damage values, the DPS, the ease of use, it's staring us all in the face. So even with a velocity buff, no, I don't think sniper rifles or bolt action rifles are too strong. Not even close. I do not think they're overpowered. Absolutely not on console, and probably not on PC, but I will need your feedback. You know, when it comes to console, auto-rotation works against you with bolt actions on controller. You don't want it, you know, pulling you to center mass or something if you're aiming for the head. Aim assist can kind of cause the same issues, trying to line up the shot and then it drags you somewhere else. Also counting against bolt action rifles is you're going to need your sidearm fairly often, but the vast majority of them, in fact basically all of them, even the revolver, are weaker now because other guns got stronger again in the new update. I think besides the main problem of there not being significantly different balancing between console and PC, is just the playstyle that using a sniper rifle kind of makes you adhere to, or can make you adhere to. That's really what gets on people's nerves. They get angry about being sniped and think they're too strong, but really, they're just annoyed about being sniped by how someone is using it, I would imagine, or just the fact they got dropped and couldn't do anything about it. You know, because whereas you could play to try and control an area, try to defend an objective or stop enemies from attacking an objective, as I'm doing in quite a lot of the footage, it does also just allow people to camp. And people that don't camp really dislike people that do camp. That's unavoidable. A sniper just happens to be one of, if not the main choice for doing that. But there isn't an easy fix for any of that. Honestly, I do feel like hitting shots now is fairly easy, at least when it comes to lining up your shots and when you should take that shot on a moving target. And I can see, as I said, why some people might dislike that. Maybe it takes away some of the satisfaction, maybe you think it's too forgiving, but really, my overall point is, what else can you do? For most players, a bolt action rifle is not going to be an optimal choice, not even close. And when it comes to playstyle, well, using a bolt action isn't really viable for quite a lot of players when it comes to actually being objective and helping the team. That's the unfortunate truth. Now, if bolt action rifles were even worse, or and didn't have this velocity buff or were nerfed or whatever, they'd be almost useless in a lot of ways. How often do you see the dominant forces in the lobby choosing to use a bolt action rifle? How often could one of those players just do better with a different gun? How often do you see someone pulling off an insane score with a bolt action? On console, in my experience, literally almost never. Like, how often you win a game and you think, damn, that guy with a sniper is absolutely destroying me? Well, again, for me, personally on console, I honestly can't think of one single occasion in, 15, 16 months of this game being out? The players in the lobby that actually cause me problems are never ever using a bolt action rifle. And while that may again highlight the issue between the two platforms, I think really overall it tells the story of the bolt actions just not really being a problem. So when it comes to console, I think this is about as balanced as the bolt action rifles can be without the sweet spot, and the main issue is the playstyle it can create, much like shotguns, but that isn't the fault of the weapon. And remember, with attrition, snipers would just be getting killed all the time if they pushed in a lot, especially with sidearms being outclassed. And while extreme camping is an issue, not everyone playing sensibly with the bolt action is camping. But as I said, this is my opinion, and please let me know what you would do differently with them. Or are you happy with them as they are, whether it's playing with them or against them? Do let me know. And that is my roundup of whether bolt action rifles are now overpowered due to the changes to them. I really hope you enjoyed. If you did, leaving a like is massive for me, helps me to grow. If you're new here, please do consider subscribing and turning on those notifications to stay up to date with the massive amount of content I've got coming out. And all the links to my social media, including Patreon, can be found in the description and my pinned comment. Here is the Board of Awesome for the epic people who already support me on Patreon. They're all absolute heroes and I love them all deeply and of course, often. If you want to join them on the Board of Awesome, the link to the Patreon page is in the description and my pinned comment. And with that all said, I'm GetGoodGuy and I'll see you next time. Laters. I saw a lot of pushback on my video about this gun, stating that it takes 4 shots to kill, where some other semi-autos only require 3. Yes, that's because of its high rate of fire. That's the point. And that's all part of why it's a skill cannon.